The hearse carrying his casket, passing the police chief, kneeling. His family sharing stories about Big George, about his kindness, demanding justice in George Floyd's name. The Reverend Al Sharpton's message to President Trump after that Bible photo op. Playing music for 8 minutes, 46 seconds, the amount of time that Minneapolis officer had his knee on Floyd's neck. While here in New York City, thousands gathered for a vigil here. We witnessed the moment they kneel in solidarity, remembering George Floyd. A sea of faces, all different backgrounds, families, parents with their children, young people. And George Floyd's brother. We entered the park with him, what he told me about his message to this nation, his message about the violence, and our interview after his speech, what he saw when he looked out into that crowd gathered for his brother. Also tonight, there are major developments in the George Floyd murder investigation. The charges for the other 3 officers, and today they made their first court appearance. We learned one of them was on their 3rd full shift. For another, it was his 4th day on the job. What they claim about the actions that day of Derek Chauvin with his knee on Floyd's neck. He faces that 2nd-degree murder charge. And tonight, the longtime friend who was in Floyd's car before that deadly encounter breaks his silence on what he witnessed in those final moments. Here in New York City, the FBI tonight investigating an unprovoked attack on 2 officers on patrol. One of them stabbed in the neck. The suspect and 2 other officers hit in an exchange of gunfire. Tonight, there is news coming in on the suspect. Was the attack linked to terror? And concerns about attacks on police officers across the country. The president and the new fallout after his threat to use the U.S. military on American civilians, 24 hours after former Defense Secretary Jim Mattis issued that rare and scathing rebuke. Tonight, one Republican senator saying she agrees with Mattis and is now struggling to support President Trump. What she says about the silence of Republicans who quietly have concerns, asking will they now speak, how the president is responding tonight. And yet another awful turn tonight in the death of Ahmaud Arbery. His accused killers in court and what prosecutors revealed. What the suspects allegedly said to Arbery after he was shot. A special edition of World News Tonight begins now.
This is a special edition of World News Tonight with David Muir, reporting tonight from Brooklyn, New York.
And good evening. It is great to have you with us here on a Thursday night, and it was a profound day in America. A country in pain, and from Minneapolis to New York City, thousands paused to remember, to honor, to fight for justice for George Floyd. Here in Brooklyn, thousands were gathered right here in this park. We were with Terrence Floyd as he spoke, his message on the peaceful protests, on the violence, and what he told me about the sea of faces here from all backgrounds and what that meant to him. All of this playing out as they paid tribute in Minneapolis, where George Floyd was killed. A moving memorial service we witnessed today, and this moment here, the police chief paying tribute, taking a knee at the side of the hearse that carried Floyd's coffin. His family sharing their memories of a childhood with little money, but a lot of love. They described him as a gentle giant. They celebrated his kindness today. The Reverend Al Sharpton delivering the eulogy, mourning Floyd's loss, saying, "Get your knee off of our necks." As I mentioned here in Brooklyn, the thousands gathering at an outdoor memorial right here, chanting George Floyd's name. You will hear his brother's call for peace and what he shared with me about what he saw in this crowd, saying it took him days to be able to say what he said here today. At this hour, on the 10th day of protests, thousands are now marching here in New York City, crossing over the Brooklyn Bridge after what they witnessed right here in this park. Also tonight in the streets and bridges of downtown Pittsburgh, and again this evening in Los Angeles. Scenes being repeated in cities and towns across this country. There are several more tributes planned before George Floyd is buried in Houston next week, his family calling them a celebration of his life, but also a plea to America. ABC's Lindsay Davis leads us off from Minneapolis tonight.
While thousands have taken a knee in recent days, this time felt different. A powerful moment as the Minneapolis police chief kneeled as George Floyd's casket passed him by. Amazing grace. Before this 46-year-old became the symbol of a movement, he was a man. At today's memorial service in Minneapolis, we learned about the father and brother from humble beginnings, the high school athlete who loved LeBron James and grew up eating banana and mayonnaise sandwiches.
He touched so many people's hearts, because he been touching our hearts, You come to Third Ward, where we're from, people are crying right now. That's how much they loved him.
He was this great big giant, and when he would wrap his arms around you, you would just feel like, you know, everything could just go away.
The nation getting a glimpse of the black church on any given Sunday as Reverend Al Sharpton gave the eulogy that was as much personal as it was political, even making a dig at President Trump.
We cannot use Bibles as a prop. And for those that have agendas that are not about justice, this family will not let you use George as a prop.
And the sermon paralleled the life of George Floyd with the struggle of Black America.
What happened to Floyd happens every day in this country, in education, in health services, and in every area of American life. It's time for us to stand up in George's name and say, get your knee off our necks.
And after his calls for accountability and change, there was this moment. 8 minutes and 46 seconds of stillness, symbolizing Floyd's final moments.
They had enough time. Now what will we do with the time we have?
And Lindsay Davis with us from Minneapolis tonight. And Lindsay, I know we also learned just before we came on the air tonight about plans for a march on Washington now.
That's right, David. As you know, that marches were an integral part of the civil rights movement. And today, Reverend Al Sharpton announced a return to those roots, saying that there will be a march on Washington this August 28th on the 57th anniversary of the original March on Washington. But he said that this one will be led by the Floyd family, by the Garner family, and any other families who have suffered similar loss. David.
Lindsay Davis leading us off tonight from Minneapolis. Lindsay, thank you. And of course, the other powerful memorial was right here in Brooklyn today. Thousands here kneeling in solidarity right here in this park behind me, remembering George Floyd. We entered the park this morning with Floyd's brother Terrence, telling us his message on the violence, his message on the peaceful protesting he has seen, and what the people who gathered here, the families, the parents who brought their children, what they told us about why they came. Today, George Floyd's family allowed us to go into Cadman Plaza Park in Brooklyn with them to document what they hope is an historic moment, a turning point. Terrence Floyd was here to honor his brother and to denounce the violence. It was clear Terrence Floyd is still in deep pain, but he knew thousands were waiting. I just want to wish you luck out there. In the crowd, the faces, Black, white, Latino, people from all backgrounds, parents bringing their children, young people marching for change. As one leader said here, praying with their feet. And on that stage, a broken brother, lifted by the sea of faces in that crowd, holding signs, George Floyd, I can't breathe, justice now. The crowd waiting for him, kneeling, chanting his brother's name. Terrence Floyd beginning to speak, acknowledging it has taken him days to get here, to be able to say this.
It took me a few days to come to that realization, but I want to thank God. Because at the end of the day, my brother's gone, but the Floyd name still lives on.
Terrence Floyd said this about the peaceful protests and about the violence at night.
I'm proud of the protests, but I'm not proud of the destruction. My brother wasn't about that. The Floyds is a God-fearing family.
He spoke of the power of unity.
I said power to the people. Not just my people, not just your people, not just the people they think is important or whatever. I'm talking about power to the people. All of us.
And as the thousands here began to march across the Brooklyn Bridge on their way into Manhattan, Terrence took a moment to tell us what that moment on stage was like before that crowd.
When you looked out into that crowd and you saw that sea of faces, Black, white, Asian American, Latino, what did you make of it?
I just knew my brother was proud. And because I know the whole Floyd family was proud of that. Because we all standing together. We all standing together for the cause of justice. And and I just appreciate it. We all appreciate it. I know my brother up there in heaven appreciates it. Thank you.
And to hear his name.
That just it resonates with me because that's my father's namesake. So not only do I hear my brother's name, I hear my father too. You know what I'm saying? My father's going, my brother's going, they're up there together. So when I heard that name, it made me feel good.
Terrence, thank you. Thank you for what you're doing. Thank you. Thank you.
Listening to Terrence Floyd was a young man named Jordan Hunt.
Do you sense a turning point?
Yeah, most definitely. It's gonna change, most definitely. If everybody stay, you know what I'm saying, stay in contact, you know what I'm saying, everybody be on the same page.
Makia Williams and Gabrielle Blaya.
And when you looked out into that crowd and you saw people from all different backgrounds.
When I see stuff like this, I cry because it just shows me, and it just should show everybody that we're all one, dude. We're all love.
And a little girl named Eloise, who was brought here by her mother, Marissa Kaiser.
How old are you, Eloise? You're 3? And do you think almost 4? All right, we'll be sure to report that.
Eloise showing me the sign she made, eager to tell me what it says.
Why does it matter?
That's your sign? Did you hold that sign today? Show us. That's how you held it?
Show it to him.
Did you help make that sign? I bet you helped draw those faces too.
She drew it all herself.
You did it all by yourself? And Mom, why did you come today?
Because it's just so important.
Her mother says for Eloise, her 2 best friends are black boys, that her daughter is colorblind, and she is determined to keep it that way.
She loves everyone so much that it's hard for me to really be like...
Well, children do.
Yeah, so I just feel like if you lead with love, then those conversations happen later.
It was an extraordinary scene that played out here in this Brooklyn park today. And when Terrence Floyd finished his speech not long after, the thousands who were gathered here, the vast majority of them wearing their masks to protect each other, then began that march right across the Brooklyn Bridge into Manhattan to celebrate Terrence Floyd's brother. We're going to move to the other news tonight, and the 3 officers now charged with aiding and abetting in the murder of George Floyd appearing before a judge today. We learned one of them was on their 3rd full shift, had just begun. For another, it was just his 4th day on the job. And what they now claim about the actions that day of Derek Chauvin with his knee on Floyd's neck. He faces that 2nd-degree murder charge. And tonight we're also hearing from one of Floyd's longtime friends right there with him the night he died in that car and what he witnessed, now breaking his silence. ABC's Alex Perez in Minneapolis on the investigation tonight.
Tonight, the 3 other Minneapolis police officers charged in connection with George Floyd's death making their first appearance in court. Attorney General Keith Ellison visiting the site where Floyd took his last breaths.
This is about justice on behalf of the people of this state, this country, and that's it.
Those 3 former officers, Toe Tao, J. Alexander King, and Thomas Lane, each facing 2 charges, including aiding and abetting 2nd-degree murder. Attorneys for King and Lane, who were both rookies, shifting the blame to 19-year veteran officer Derek Chauvin, seen with his knee on Floyd's neck for nearly 9 minutes. King was only on his 3rd shift as a full-time officer, his lawyer said, and that he told the other officers, "You shouldn't do this." Lane's lawyer telling the judge it was his 4th day on the job, saying he asked Chauvin twice, "Shall we roll him over?" adding that Lane performed CPR on Floyd inside the ambulance. Chauvin facing multiple charges, including 2nd-degree murder. And tonight, Maurice Lester Hall, Floyd's friend and one of the people seen in that video just before Floyd's deadly encounter, telling the New York Times, "I'm going to always remember seeing the fear in Floyd's face because he's such a king. That's what sticks with me, seeing a grown man cry before seeing a grown man die."
So, David, all 4 in custody. Chauvin has not yet appeared in court. Those other 3 officers are being held on a $1 million bail. David?
All right, Alex Perez reporting live from Minneapolis again tonight. Alex, thank you. We're going to turn next tonight to the FBI investigating the ambush of an NYPD officer who was stabbed in the neck. That investigation at this hour, the attack overnight in Brooklyn, away from protest sites, 2 other officers and the suspect injured in gunfire that followed. The suspect now in critical condition. This large knife was recovered at the scene. Investigators asking, is there a terror link? Across the country, federal officials say more than 50 people have been arrested on charges ranging from arson to bomb possession. Now to President Trump tonight and the fallout after his threat to use the U.S. military on American civilians. Just 24 hours after former Defense Secretary Jim Mattis issued that rare and scathing rebuke. Tonight, Alaska Senator Lisa Murkowski, a Republican, saying she agrees with Mattis and that she's now struggling over whether to support the president's re-election, suggesting that perhaps some of her fellow Republicans will feel more comfortable now to speak out too. Here's Jonathan Karl.
Outside the White House, new fences, higher barriers, pushing the public back, further separating the president from the world outside. He has been out of sight for 2 days, communicating through his digital megaphone, Twitter. More than 75 tweets since midnight, many of them slogans: "Make America Great Again," "Law and Order." Outside, the protests persisting. Inside the Capitol building, Democratic senators joined together in silence, some taking a knee for 8 minutes, 46 seconds in honor of George Floyd. As the stunning condemnation of President Trump by his former defense secretary, retired General Jim Mattis, reverberates throughout the city. Donald Trump is the first president in my lifetime who does not try to unite the American people, does not even pretend to try, Mattis wrote. Instead, he tries to divide us. We are witnessing the consequences of 3 years without mature leadership. Mattis expressed outrage at the forceful removal of peaceful protesters to make room for what he called a bizarre photo op. Mattis's words prompted a forceful response from Republican Senator Lisa Murkowski.
I was really thankful. I thought General Mattis's words were true and honest and necessary and overdue.
And she offered a pointed message to her fellow Republicans, telling them it is time to speak up. One of the few who did was Senator Mitt Romney.
General Mattis's letter was stunning and powerful. General Mattis is a man of extraordinary sacrifice. He's an American patriot.
Senator Lindsey Graham was among those who spoke in support of the president.
I'm not saying he's blameless, but I am saying that you're buying into a narrative that I think is, quite frankly, unfair.
President hit back at Mattis on Twitter, calling him the world's most overrated general, adding, "I didn't like his leadership style or much else about him," and many others agree, glad he is gone. Mattis may be gone, but he's not alone in expressing his support for the protesters. On that point, he joins all 4 living former presidents.
Both the First Lady and the